Hey, what's up, guys? Gon's here for the Face Like the Sun YouTube channel. It's Black Monday. The economy is crashing, and we're all vindicated because we all predicted it, right? Well, sort of. I'm not going to freak out over here. Yes, there's been a huge economic downturn, and some reports have stated that 5 trillion have been lost in the last week or so with this crash. There's a lot of people saying this is the precursor to a full economic collapse globally, and it's possible that that's what's going on. The stock market does fluctuate every few years and goes up and down. Certainly, things have been on a downturn, and I'm not an expert in the economy or anything like that, but the experts do tell us that there is an imminent crash, and they've been saying that for a while. And there's panic globally, worldwide. People are freaking out. They're saying, this is it. This is the beginning of the end of, the whole economic collapse and all that stuff. Now, I want to put a different spin on it. Maybe not a different spin. Maybe it's not new for most of you guys watching this, but just something to consider here. Now, this happens almost exactly a month before Pope Francis is due to come out to the United States to address, the US and the UN and all this stuff. Now, one of the things that Pope Francis has done in the last couple months is be very blunt about a call for a new economic order and his criticism of capitalism. You got Reuters reporting it. Huffington Post reported the same incident in South America where he basically said, the problem is capitalism and there needs to be a new economic order. And so this is nothing new in terms of news coming from the Pope. But if there is this global elite, Illuminati, New World Order, whatever you want to call it, in control, and they're in cahoots with all the global systems, the octopus, if you will, then it would make sense to create a healthy dive in the global economic system right before Pope Francis comes to the United States and declares, that we need a new financial order, et cetera, et cetera. Now, this would only add fuel to the idea that the Pope is this Pope of peace and that he is here to help humanity and bring things out of chaos. It's the whole Hegelian dialectic, divide and conquer, order out of chaos. And perhaps this is the chaos being created right now. But I urge you not to panic, okay? I know some people probably have money in the stock market. I don't. Okay, I've never had money in the stock market and couldn't afford it, won't afford it ever, probably, but that's not important. I think we need to keep a sober mind and be watchful, but I have a feeling that within today, tomorrow, and the next few days, a lot of these people in the Bible prophecy world and eschatology world will jump on this story and what's happening globally and say, here it is, this is it, this is the end. And certainly as watchmen, we are to warn and to say, yes, this is a problem. This is another signpost, if you will, for things to come. But I wouldn't necessarily freak out over it because, number one, we are not given a spirit of fear, but we are given one of power and love and of sound mind or self-control. So be in control of your reaction here, because I do think that part of our reaction, especially what we post online with panic and freaking out, is feeding the system, if you will, of data. Well, anything we do online is feeding the global brain its data. But in terms of global control of people's emotions and everything else, the stock market is it. I mean, if you want to control people's emotions, mess with the stock market. And whether this be the hand of the Illuminati or even behind that, as I've always stated, the spirit behind the global system in general, I do think it's important for us not to freak out, keep steady. We are not given a spirit of fear, which means we don't freak out about stuff like this. And some people will, and I get that. And I understand the sense of urgency, and I definitely have a sense of urgency in terms of this story. I mean, if you think about it, you have articles coming out saying $1.8 trillion in wealth vanished in households across the United States. You have other people saying that if you just scroll through here on my Facebook feed of the trending topic here of the stock market, Dow Jones Industrial Average drops more than 1,000 points at trade opening. You have Black Monday, China stocks in sharpest fall since 2007. Markets plunge around the world. Concerns rise in the Tel Aviv Stock Exchange, Israel News, all these people freaking out. Doomsday Clock. Now, Doomsday Clock was moved a minute closer a couple weeks ago. So that's a thing. But again, this rise in fear. What I see is this deliberate mechanism, a lever being raised by the enemy to create chaos and fear among the world. And this is a great way to do it. The global economic system is the perfect tool to cause this rise in anxiety, fear, and in that process, it would be easy to inject someone like a Pope Francis to come in and say, oh, we are going to recreate the system and be seen as a global savior figure. Now, I'm not suggesting that the Pope is the Antichrist or the false prophet, but it's definitely possible. And I know, if anything, he is definitely a type, and he's definitely being used as a prototype or a beta test, if you will, of the Antichrist figure. And I have no doubt about that. So those are my thoughts on this and just sort of what's going on, and people are freaking out, but I'm here to tell you, don't freak out. The stock market has done worse. There was one report by Heather Long, who writes for CNN Money, and take that for what it's worth. She talks about the stock market and the economy, and she suggested in a tweet that this is not Black Monday for stocks. Today's Dow is down 1,000 points. At its worst, October 19th, 1987, Dow fell 22.6%. That would be 3,700 point loss now. So again, yes, it's a bad drop, but it's not anywhere near the worst drops that we've seen in the economy. So again, when people start freaking out over this is the end, it's more spinning of the fear that is abound these days. So I'm just here to tell you, don't fear. God's in control. He knows what he's doing. But as things begin to unfold here, and we don't know how much time is left, there still needs to be a lot of things fulfilled, in my opinion, biblical prophecy, before we see the rapture or the return of Christ. I don't believe in the doctrine of imminence. It's just not founded in the Bible in terms of what I've seen. So this isn't necessarily the end of it all, but this is definitely another signpost and another step closer to that moment. So those are just my thoughts. I know it may not be popular or whatever, but I'm not going to sit here and spin fear like a lot of people will with this story. So that's about it, guys. God bless.